Hi everyone and welcome back. So today we're going to be taking a look at graphing step functions. So they're a subset of piecewise functions. There are still going to be those breaks in the graphs. So let's just get some terminology down first. So we have a step function is a piecewise function containing all constant pieces. So if you look at this picture, these are all constant values. Notice that horizontal line. All pieces of a step function are horizontal. All right, they're always going to be horizontal. So you can't draw a step function without removing your pencil from your paper. Think about steps. Go from one step to the next step to the next step. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at this first example here. So we have the movie theater in Southampton offers the following prices. Children ages 11 and under pay $11. So if you're age 11 and under, you're paying $11. Senior citizens that are age 60 and above pay $13. And then anyone who is an adult will pay $14. So let's take a look at these scenarios. How much are you going to pay if you're 4 years old? So if you're 4 years old, well, you fall within this realm here of being under the age of 11. So you're going to pay $11. Okay, let's keep reading. How much are you going to pay if you are 11 years old? Well, this says you have to be age 11 and under. So if you're the age 11 or under the age 11, you're paying $11. So you're still going to pay $11. What about now if you're 14 years old? So before we were 11 years old, what about 14? Well, if you're 14 years old, let's take a look. We have, if you are age 11 and under, so let's say your age is less than or equal to 11, you're going to pay $11. If your age is 60 and above, so if you're 60 years old and above, you're going to pay $13. So we need to think about the other ages then that we didn't talk about. So if your age is between that 11 and 60 years old, you're going to pay $14. So adults are, I guess, considered between 11 years old and 60 years old. So this is just the movie pricing for tickets. Not saying that you're an adult if you're 12, but this is what we're going off of. So if you're 14 years old, well, that falls within this category. So you're going to pay $14. If you are 55 years old, again, you fall within this category, so you're going to pay $14. If you are 60 years old, so that's now this category, you could be 60 years old or greater than or equal to 60, and 60 is greater than or equal to 60, so they will pay $13. And if you are 74 years old, well, we know 74 is bigger than 60, so they will end up paying, again, that $13. So we're going to come up with graphing this as a step function, and I kind of already made us a little piecewise function to look on the side. Okay, so we wrote that right here. So we're actually going to graph this. So the amount we pay was $11 if I'm less than or equal to 11. Well, I'm first going to make my axes. So my axis here, the x-axis will be age in years, and the y-axis is going to be cost in dollars. Okay, so I wrote it actually on the side. It should be along the y-axis. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to recreate my piecewise function here just so I know what I'm referring to. So we have 11 if x is less than or equal to 11. You're at $14. If we have x is between 11 and 60, and then we have that $13 if x is greater than or equal to 60. Okay, so now we can actually start to graph this. And again, I'm going to make my axes. Okay, so again, we have cost on the y-axis and dollars, and then the age on the x-axis, which I skipped by every 2 boxes by 20. So really every box is going by 10. So it's going to cost $11 if x is less than or equal to 11. So when x is less than or equal to 11, well, that's about here. We have that closed circle. This is a closed circle, and we're shading it to the left. So this is going this way. Now I'm just going to go up to the y-axis because if I draw the arrow, that means negative years, and we can't have negative years. So I'm just going to leave it as is. All right. So that again was up to the y-axis. Okay, now if I continue, we have now for our next line, x is between now 11 and 60 at $14. So we're between 11 and 60. We have these open circles here. So 11 and 60. So here's our 60 mark at $14. So we have here and we have here. Again, they're both open circles, and I'm going to connect them with a nice straight line. And then lastly, we have it's going to be $13 when x is greater than or equal to 60. So again, that arrow is pointing to the right here. Before, our arrow was pointing to the left. So here our arrow in this case is pointing to the right. We have the equals to piece, so it's going to be a closed circle. So at 60, I'm going to look for 13, make that closed circle, and it's moving to the right. Okay, so that's my step function. All horizontal pieces. Okay, hopefully this was like a nice smooth transition. So let's take a look at now question 2. We have Forever 21 is offering free shipping if you purchase over $50 worth of clothing. Otherwise, shipping costs $5.95. What would your total amount be if the subtotal was $49? So say your order came to $49. Are you going to get the free shipping, or do you have to pay this $5.95? You're going to have to pay the $5.95 because your shipment or your order of clothing is not over $50. If it's over $50, so if X is greater than or equal to $50, you get free shipping. But if X is less than $50, you have to pay an additional $5.95 in shipping. So because in this situation, 49 is less than 50, you have to pay that additional $5.95. So we'll have 49 plus $5.95, which ends up being $54.95 for that final total. Okay, so now let's take a look at the next example. We have now the subtotal is $20. Well, again, $20, you're nowhere near that 50 mark. In order to get that free shipping, you need to be at least that 50 mark. So we're going to still have to pay that shipping of $5.95. All right, so these are some real world problems, guys. It's actually pretty cool. I actually consider a lot of this stuff when I'm making purchases. Sometimes I'll try to find something in there that maybe I didn't think I necessarily needed, just to kind of even out that shipping cost. Okay, and next over here we have what would your total amount be paid if the subtotal was $50? Well, again, if we look at our scenario, if you purchase over $50 worth of things, you'll get free shipping. Otherwise, if it's below $50, you will have to pay that additional cost of the $5.95. So if you purchase over $50 worth of things or $50 worth of things, it will be free shipping. So because my subtotal reached that $50, it will be free shipping. So it's just going to cost $50. Okay, and now lastly, what would your total amount be if your subtotal was $75? Again, you're well over the $50 mark, so it's just going to cost $75. Okay, so we want to come up with writing a function to represent this scenario. So let's write a piecewise function to represent this scenario. So we have, it's either going to be X dollar amounts plus the $5.95 for the shipping if we purchase less than $50 worth of materials of clothing, jewelry, whatever it is. It's going to cost the exact amount, whatever it is, if X is greater than or equal to 50. So if my order total comes to $65, I'm paying $65. But if my order total falls short of the 50, so say my order total came to $45, I still have to pay the shipping amount. All right, so that's what your piecewise function would look like. Okay, so let's take a look at a few more example problems here. I want to take a look at question number 3. Again, we're just graphing step functions. Horizontal lines. Horizontal lines. So we want to be using our piecewise formula notation. So here is my piecewise function. And we have, I'm going to highlight these in all different colors. We love color coding. Yes. Okay. So for our first question here, f of 2.7, so that means x equals 2.7. So x equaling 2.7 falls within this interval. So our answer is just 2. Now here I have f of 5, so now x equals 5. So we are going to fall within this interval because 5 is less than or equal to 5. So my answer here is -4. Okay, for the next one, here I know x is equal to 3.5. So if I look at my intervals again, I know I'm in the middle because 3.5 is between 3 and 5. So my answer here will be 5. And then lastly, for f of 0, I know x equals 0, and 0 is less than or equal to 0. So I'm looking within this interval. My answer is 2. We're always looking on the left-hand side to get those final answers for the output of the function. Okay, so now we actually want to graph this. So if we look, I'll do what we have in blue first. We have the value at y being 2 when x is between 0 and 3. So here I have 0, 1, 2, and 3. So between 0 and 3, this has a closed circle, this has an open circle. So we have our closed circle at 0, 2. We have an open circle at 3, and we connect them with the horizontal straight line. Next piece, as I go from 3 to 5, where 3 has the closed circle, so we have the closed circle at 3, open circle at 5, and our y value is now at 5. So when I'm looking at x being 3, my y value is now up at 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have the closed circle, and I'm going to travel all the way over to 5, which has an open circle. Horizontal lines, guys. Okay. Next piece, we'll do that in yellow. This one. Again, at 5, we have that closed circle, and also at 10, we also have a closed circle. So we have 2 closed circles here. So when x is between 5 and 10, my y value is now at -4. So I'm going 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So when I'm at 5, my y value is at -1, 2, 3, 4, closed circle, and I'm traveling all the way to 10. And there's your step function. Awesome. And I'm just going to label this f of x, label the graph. Fantastic. So now we just want to answer the question of what is the domain and the range of the function. So as remember, when we're talking about domain and range, domain is the x values, so we're traveling from left to right. As I travel from left to right, I have an x value at 0, 1, 2, 3 because of the closed circle, 4, 5 because of the closed circle, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So my domain is going from 0 to 10. Now let's look at the range. Now the range is going to be a little funky here because range we go up and down, right? Range is always up and down, the y values. Well, I only have a y value here at -4, a y value here at 2, and then another one at 5. Well, hey, that's my range. I have a y value at -4, 2, and 5. So there's my range. Y is equal to -4, 2, and 5. And we use squiggly brackets to include that set. Okay, awesome. All right, let's keep going. Next question says, for f of x, we want to state a value for x such that f of x equals 5. So for what value of x, so x equals what for y to equal 5? Well, let's see. Where does y equal 5? Y equals 5 in this range. So pick an x value where that works. And if I look, 4 works. There's a point here. So I'll say x equals 4. Okay, so now if I want f of x to equal -4, so again, for what x value does y equal -4? So that's here. So pick any x value that will be within that interval. So let's go with 7. That's smack in the middle there, or roughly. So we'll have x equals 7. And then now for f of x equaling 2, we want to see for what x value does y equal 2. So we're looking here now. And let's go with 1. There's a point there. So when x equals 1. All right, so we're just going to continue with some of these practice problems. I'm going to do question 4 with you. You're going to do question 5 on your own. So for question 4, we're going to graph the step function that's given. So again, I'm just going to highlight all of the ones that I'm looking at. I think this will help you guys identify what you're looking at. Might make it a little cleaner. So if I look at the top, if I have x is between 0 and 4. So let's make our axes, and let's see, we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, you get the point. We're just going by ones here, right? 10, 11, and 12. So it is going to fit. So my y value is at 5. So my y value equals 5 when x is between 0 and 4. So let's see, here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So between 0, including 0, all the way to 4, open circle, right? Open circle, that has a closed circle. Connect them with that nice horizontal line. Okay, let's look at the next one. Now, my y value equals 1 when x is between 4 and 8. So now my y value is 1 when x is between 4 and 8. Notice the closed circle here, closed circle, and the open circle here, and we connect them. All right. And now lastly, my y value is at -3 when x is between 8 and 12. And notice they both have closed circles. So when x is between 8 and 12, they both have closed circles. And there's your step function again, guys. They should all be horizontal. So again, talking about domain. Domain, we read the x values from left to right. So my domain, as I go from left to right, I have an x value at when x is 0, when x is 1, 2, 3. Now at 4, it's here. 5, 6, 7. At 8, it's here. 9, 10, 11, 12. So my domain is from 0, including 0, to 12. Domain, again, is the x. Range is y. So let's take a look at those y values. Now, if we look at the y values, I only have y values at 5, 2, and -3. So my range is the set of y values that includes -3, 2, and 5. We use the squiggly brackets. Do not use parentheses. That would be wrong. So use the squiggly brackets. And now, does this function have any zeros? Another word for zeros are the roots or the x-intercepts. Well, no, this never crosses the x-axis. So there are no roots. It never crosses the x-axis. Okay, so like I said, I went through question 4 with you. You're about to do question 5 on your own. This is an OYO, question 5. So if you need to pause the video at any point, you need to rewind, fast forward, please do so. Whatever helps benefit you the most. Okay, so question 5. Pause the video here, guys. This is all you. Go ahead. Don't forget those open and closed circles. Write them out on the side. All right, and this is what your step function should look like. Don't forget those open and closed circles. I have those marked here for you. Again, when we talk about domain and range, domain, we talk from left to right. So as I read this from left to right for the x values, I have a point at -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my x values are between -4, including -4, and it also includes +6. So that's my domain. Now the range, we're looking up and down. And again, we're just going to check where we have y values. We have a y value that's at -1, that's at 2, and that's at 5. So my range is the set of numbers of y that includes -1, 2, and 5. We use the squiggly brackets. Please, please, please do not use parentheses. That is incorrect. When you're talking about a set of numbers, when I'm talking about a set of numbers, we use squiggly brackets like that. Okay, next part, we say state a value for x such that g of x equals -1. So find the x value. So x equals what when y equals -1? So let's see. X equals what when y is -1? Well, that's here. So pick any x value that's going to work. Sure, so let's go with x equals -2. X equals -2, that would work. So would x equals -1.5, x equals -3, x equals -4, those would all work. Okay. Now let's take a look at the next one. So we want to know, what does x equal when y equals 5? Well, let's see. Now that's here. What does x equal when y equals 5? Well, you have a bunch of options. We have maybe when x is 2, when x is 3, 4, 5, or 6. So pick any of them. So let's say maybe when x is 3. That works. Again, you could have said x equals 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. All of those would have been fine. And now lastly, what does x equal when y is 2? Well, now we're looking here. And again, you have a bunch of options. X could be from -1 to 1.99999, right? It can't actually be 2 because of that open circle. So maybe we'll say when x equals 0. But again, you could have said x equals -1, 0, 1, 1.5, 1.75, 1.99, but it can't be 2. Okay. We are going to take a look at just one more kind of question like this. Question numero 9, number 9. We have a lot of pieces here, but we can do this. So now we just have 4 pieces to graph of these step functions. So I'm just going to highlight them over in whatever colors you choose. Awesome. So for the first one, the values that are on the left-hand side, these are my y values. And then my values on the right-hand side, these are my x values. Okay? So we have between -4 and -2, and this is closed and then open, right? Because of the closed and then open here. So between -4 and -2, my y value is at 4. So again, between -4 and -2, my y value is at 4. For the next piece, we have, again, it's closed and then open because of the pieces here and here. So when x is between -2 and 0, my y value is at 2. So when I'm between -2 and 0, my y value is at 2, and I connect them with that straight horizontal line. I have, again, that closed circle to open because of the signs here and here. And x is between 0 and 2. We have a y value of 1. So between 0 and 2, my y value is 1. And then lastly, again, closed to open. We have a y value of -3 between 2 and 4. So we have a y value of -3 between 2 and 4. And there you guys have it. This is what our step function looks like. So let's finish this up. What would be the domain for this function? Well, again, let's check them off. There is an x value at -4, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Not at 4. We could have like 3.9999. So we're not including 4. How do we write not including 4? Either using the less than symbol or the parentheses. So if we're going to write this in set builder notation where we have the less than, remember it's always less than, never greater than. We have x in the middle. We can equal -4. So we have the equals to, but we don't equal +4 because of this open circle. So that's my domain. Careful of that. Okay, next question says, what are the intercepts, if any, of this function? Well, let's see. Intercepts. So let's see, are there any x and y intercepts? Well, we have a y-intercept. There's a y-intercept at, let's see, at the point 0, 1. There's a y-intercept at the point 0, 1, but there are no x-intercepts. It does not cross the x-axis. No x-intercepts. It never crosses the x-axis. All right, guys, I hope you found this video helpful. This was everything I wanted to cover in terms of piecewise functions. Next week, you'll have just a little bit of an overview on the applications of piecewise functions. All right, so again, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions, always feel free to message me over Remind or have a Zoom session with me. Okay, I'll talk to you all soon.